a flexbox is a set of related CSS properties for building one-dimensional layout. So here is a perfect example of a one-dimensional layout. We have two-dimensional layout where that's when we start talking about grid, how to create grid in CSS. Alright, but then let's look at Flexbox first and understand how it works. So the main idea behind Flexbox is that empty space inside a container element can be automatically divided by its child element. And then Flexbox makes it easy to automatically align items to one another inside a parent container, both horizontally and vertically, right? And then it actually solves a common problem such as vertical centering and creating equal height columns. And then it is a perfect replacement for float. So there is a property in CSS called float. So I feel there is no point to show you guys since we have Flexbox. So float is one of the legend we call it legend property actually, because that is what we used before the introduction of Flexbox. So with Flexbox in your arsenal, I mean, you can easily create one-dimensional layouts in your designs. So, and then I'm actually going through this. I'm going over this again so that we can understand perfectly what this is, because I know what it means to start learning Flexbox as a beginner. At first, it's kind of look confusing and you might find difficult at first, but trust me, you just need to give it some time, and then if you build one or two projects using Flexbox, you're going to understand how it works. So to understand how Flexbox works, right, number one, you have to identify the container. Identify a container first, right? The moment you make a particular element a flex container, and how do you make a container, or how do you make an element a flex container? You set that element, you set display property of that element to flex. So once an element has a display property of flex, it becomes a flex container, and that means that all the direct child elements, please note, direct child element, right, becomes the flex items. So here is a perfect example. We have this container here, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. So the moment we make this big box, okay, a flex container, all these 5 boxes becomes the flex items. And here is the default behavior of Flexbox, which means ideally without Flexbox, all these 5 boxes are meant to stack on each other vertically, right? So which means box 2 is meant to be under box 1, and then box 3 under box 2, box 4 under box 3, and then box 5 under box 4. But with Flexbox, all the flex items will be aligned side by side horizontally, and that's because flex direction by default is roll. So this is row. Row is the horizontal line, right? The horizontal line. And in Flexbox, we have 2 axes, the main axis and the cross axis. So the main axis is along the horizontal line, or you can call it the X line, that is row. And then the cross axis is along the vertical line, or you can call it the column, right? So we're able to look to cover a few properties in the first part of Flexbox in our last session. So we look at gap, justify content with values like flex start, flex end, center, space between. We also look at align items and then flex direction. So we are going to start with flex wrap today, then move to align content, and then these properties that we can set on flex items. So I'm still using the same document as the last session. So we have this document from the first part. We have the body, which has this section with a class name of class attribute of container. Then it has 8 divs, right? 8 divs, each of them having class name. All right, and then the CSS. So this was what we last time basically. So we are going to build on this. And remember, each of the box actually has a unique background color. So box 1 to box 8, they all have different background colors. And then here is the output. All right. So next is flex wrap. We are going to look at flex wrap now, and I will take you back to the slide. So flex wrap, we have no wrap, which is the default value. So first, flex wrap allows items to wrap into a new line if they are too large. If they are too large. Now look at this box here, right? We have 5 boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For instance, now we can tell that if we introduce another box inside this flex container, right? The last box might not actually contain this container, and that's because there is no enough space for that box to fit in. So that way, if you set flex wrap to wrap, it will ensure that the box that could not fit in will wrap or break to the next line instead of or what's it called, overflowing to happen. Remember, we actually mentioned overflow in one of our previous sessions. So if you set flex wrap to wrap, right, any content that cannot fit in the line or the container will wrap or break to the next line. So let's see how that works quickly. We actually want to look at flex wrap. All right, so we have the three elements. Then I'll take it back to the code. So I'm going to use the internal CSS. So start quickly. I will select the container actually, and then give it a width, maybe a fixed width of 500 pixels. Yeah, 500 pixels. So for us to see what is going on, I'm going to set the background color of maybe aqua. Okay, and then so basically you can actually pass multiple classes here. So as you can see, I'm going to give each of them a unique class name, box, and then the same class name actually, box, and then they have a unique class name. Like the first one has a box 1, has another class name, and then box 2, then box 3 for the third element, basically. So which means if I actually want to set the same style rules, right, on the 3 elements, I can just select the box. So this box here means that the style rule will actually get applied on the 3 elements. All right, so see this first. You see what's going on. Okay, great. So we have this, and then I will try to add it. I want space inside the box. So space inside the box, maybe 20 pixels. So to the top, right, bottom, and left. All right, great. So quickly, I'm going to use the box now. So box, I will give it with the same color. All right, great. And I'm going to pad it as well. So I need a padding of maybe 15 pixels. Save. So quickly, I'm going to make this container a flex. This div here with the class name of container, a flex container. And to do that, I will set display property to flex. Save this. So the moment this becomes flex container, all the child elements will be aligned side by side horizontally. So look at what's going to happen now. If I refresh, now we have the 3 boxes on the same line. Then I can create space between them. I can use the gap property. So gap of maybe 12 pixels so that we can see what is going on. Great. So we have box 1, box 2, box 3. We have used the gap property to create margin or space between the 3 boxes. All right. So we actually want to look at wrap. So I'm going to give box 1. Mind you, we have box 1, box 2, box 3. So the first box, I will set its property to 250 pixels. Okay, 250 pixels. It's okay, good. Then I will give the second one box 2 width of maybe 100 pixels, and then that's 350 or maybe 200. Okay, and then I will give box 3 width of 150 pixels. Save. Now let's see the output. Save. Now we have this. I'm going to head back, and then now we have box 1 width of 250 pixels, and then box 2 200 pixels, and then box 3 has a width of 150 pixels. Now the container actually has a width of 500 pixels. I will set flex wrap, flex wrap. The default is wrap, basically. The default is no wrap, sorry, no wrap. And then if we have wrap here, save, head back to the browser, refresh. Look at it here. We have been able to this second box and the third box now, they've been able to break to the next line. And that's because if I comment this back, let me comment out this, save this and refresh. Save, refresh. Now what is happening here is that Flexbox is actually forcing the 3 boxes to fit in this container. All right. There is what we call flex shrink, which is one of the properties that we set on the flex item. Let me take you back to the slide. Let me show us quickly. Look at this here. We have flex shrink. To allow an element to shrink, 0 means no, 1 means yes, and 1 is actually the default value. Now at this point, I take it back to the browser, the element is shrinking to fit in the container. So it's not stretching to actually get the exact width that we set on it. So the moment we actually set flex wrap to wrap, if I set flex wrap to wrap, let me comment this back and then refresh. Look at it here. Now box 1 has been able to take the exact width that we specify on it, which is I think 250, and then this is 200, and then we have 150 pixels. So this is how we use flex wrap. And then there's another value, I think wrap reverse. Yes, we have the wrap reverse. So we can set this to wrap reverse. So I'm going to comment that out, and then flex wrap to wrap reverse. Save, then back to the browser. If I refresh now, look at it here. So it is now in reverse form. We have box 1, box 2, and then box 3. That's that for flex wrap. The next one is I think align content. We have align content. Yes, align content. We have stretch, flex start, flex end. Okay, flex end, center, space between, and then space around. So only applies when there are multiple lines. Only applies when there are multiple lines. So which means now it has to be flex wrap. So we can use the example that we have currently. So what I'm going to do is I would like to increase the height of this, the height of the container. So I would like to increase the height to maybe 300 pixels so that we can see those values. Okay, great. So the flex items, they're actually stretching. They are actually stretching to ensure that they occupy the height of their container. Now we'll take you back to the slide. Align content, number 1, the default value is stretch, which makes sense now, right? So contents are stretching, whether you specify it or not, it is there by default, right? And then we have another value there, which is flex start, flex end, center, space between, and then space around. And let's look at this value one after the other. I will take it back to the code. Align content. And mind you, please, align content is different from align items. All right. So align content first, stretch as the default. Save. Take it back to the browser. Nothing is going to change though. Okay. Now we have flex start. I'm going to comment this. Maybe there should be a comment here. Align content, great. And then I'm going to have align content, flex start, save. So it will actually shrink. Okay, great. What is happening here is because of this wrap reverse. It is meant to start at the top, but because of this reverse, it actually take it back to the take it to the bottom. So I'm going to comment this out, then uncomment wrap. So I don't want the reverse. If I refresh and I should push it to the top. Exactly. So we want this. So flex start should start at the top of the container. So back. So align content. Content has been aligned to the top of the container. That's for flex start. So I will comment this. Even if you don't comment it, for instance, if you repeat the same property, what the browser will do is that it will select the last value. So if I have flex end, so flex end will be the one that will take the effect on the browser, even though we still have the flex start. So save. Flex end will push it to the bottom of the container. Then we have center, align content, center. So center will keep it to the center vertically. We also have a space between. Align content, space between. All right, of course. So space between, we actually get the extra space and then share it equally between the content. Okay, and then we have space around. Space around, save. Space around means there's going to be space before and after the last flex item. So before there's going to be a space, and then after there's also going to be a space, and in between there's going to be a space as well. So that's that basically for align content. So we have other properties. We have some other properties that we can set on flex items. So these are properties. These properties are gap, justify content, just align items, flex direction, flex wrap, align content are properties that we can set on only the flex container. So which means if you use gap on a flex item, it's not going to work. Similarly, if you use justify content on a flex item, it's not going to work. All right, except if you make that flex item a flex container. And then we also have those properties here that only get applied to flex items. So if you use align itself on a flex container, it's not going to take any effect because a flex container cannot work or function as a flex item. So quickly, let's see how we can use some of these properties. So we have align self. Okay, align self. So to override align items for individual flex items. So we have flex items with this value: stretch, flex start, flex end, flex center, then the baseline. Now these align items actually it's applied on the entire flex items. So look at this flex container we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flex items, right? If you use align items on the flex container, it will affect all the 5 items. Now, for instance, if you actually want to specify, if you want to align a single item, right? So let's say, for instance, you want to align only the third item here or the third box. So that way you need the align self, okay, to align a particular item inside the flex container. So let's see. I think right now I'm going to take it back to to the previous document, which is the flexbox.html, to explain this better. So back. So you can change this to flexbox. Great. Now quickly, if I actually want to align, say box 4, okay, this box 4 here to the top, I actually want it to start at the top. That's the flex start. All I need to do is back to the code, my CSS. So box 4, right? Fourth one, box 4, and that's the class name of box 4. So in flexbox.css, I will identify the box 4 selector, which is this right here. That's the background of orange. So all I need to do is to set the align cell place. Align cell, then I'll give it a value of flex start. Save this back to the code. So take note of this box 4. If I refresh now, look at it, it has shrink, and then the what's it called? The value pushes it to the start of the flex container. So if I actually want box 6 to be aligned to the center, okay, vertically, I will select the element. So box 6, align cell, center, it will shrink and then replace to the center vertically. Refresh. So you see, we have box 6 at the center. If I want box 2 to be at the bottom, we have flex end. Flex end. So box 2, yeah, box 2, align cell, flex end. Save. Don't worry, you're going to see how to use this in a real world example. Yeah, box 2 has been pushed to the bottom of the flex container. So that's how we use align cell. Or let's look at another one. And then I think we have the flex property. Yeah, the flex property, which are the flex grow, flex shrink, and then the flex basis. Flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis. Now, flex grow allows an element to grow. Okay, 0 means no, and then 1 or more means yes. Then flex shrink allows an element to shrink. 0 means no, 1 or more means yes. So 0 means that the element will not shrink, and then 1 means that the element will shrink. All right, and then flex basis. Basis is more like you are setting the width of the element. So to define an item's width instead of the width property. So if you're using flexbox property, you can use the flex basis to set the width of a particular flex item. So I'm going to wrap. Okay, let me copy this. I'm going to copy everything here, everything in the wrap.html, and then create another document. Now we name this flex. Okay, flex .html. Then I will dump it, paste it right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flex property. I'm going to comment some code out. For instance, okay, the pattern is okay. Height, we don't need the height, those points. Okay, flex, right, gap, and don't need this as well. We don't need this. Sorry, I want to quickly edit the code, and then all right, we want a box. The box, okay, box 1, box 2, great. But then we don't want to use the width property. Save. Great. Yeah, I think we are good to go. Then I will head back to the browser and then load the document basically. So flex.html, great. So we have this 3 boxes, box 1, box 2, box 3. And the reason we have them side by side horizontally is because we have already made this aqua container a flex container. All right. And then I will take it back to the code. So the first thing I would like to do is to use the flex basis. All right. Then give this 100 pixels. Okay, 100 pixels. Or if I head back to the browser, sorry, I think there is a, okay, great. If I head back to the browser and refresh, you can see it has increased in width. It has increased in width. So I will do the same thing for box 2, flex basis. I'm going to give this 150 pixels. And I would like to, okay, let's check the output for this first. 150 pixels. Okay, box 2 has increased as well in width. So I actually want to increase the width of the container itself, which is this right here. Maybe I'll give it 700. Save this and then back to the browser. Let's see. Okay, great. Now box 3. I would like to give box 3 flex basis of 200 pixels. Save. Okay, great. Now that means we still have more. We have more space actually. So from here to here are the spaces that we have. Now we have flex grow. Remember, flex grow allows an element to grow, right? So which means we can actually make a particular element to take the remaining space that we have inside this container. Now if I set flex grow 1, okay, on box 1, box 1 is going to stretch to occupy the remaining space that we have inside this container. Now if I take it back and then on box 1, I set flex dash grow. Remember the default value is 0, so which means elements are not allowed to grow. But then if I now change it to 1, right, save this, it means that box 1, just take note of this box 1. If I refresh, you see box 1 has what taken the entire space left inside the container. Now I'm going to set flex grow 2 on box 2. If I take it back and then on box 2, if I say flex grow, and then say 2. So what this means is that box 2 is going to have times 2 of the size of box 1. All right, so times 2 of the size of box 1. I'll save this back to the browser. If I refresh now, so you can see, so box 2 is actually wider than box 1. So what I'm going to do now for shrink, I'm going to set shrink. Now, by default, elements are allowed to shrink. So I will set shrink 0 on box 3. So which means if I resize my screen, I don't want box 3 to shrink. Every other element can shrink, but box 3 should not shrink. So I will head back to code and then set flex shrink to 0. So this means that no matter what, this element here is not going to shrink. So which means we're going to take the exact width that we have here, this value that we set on flex basis. So back to the code, refresh, great. So to prove that, I'm going to resize the screen. I'm going to resize the browser width. So coming and take it, okay, good. So if I'm resizing this, see what is happening. Or let me open up the developer tool so that we can actually see what is going on. And then another thing I would like to do is I don't want to set a fixed width, but let's leave it the way it is. All right, I'm going to comment this fixed width on the container to make it flexible. All right, save. Back to the code. All right, great. Now You see, every other element, they actually, sorry, box 1 and box 2 are actually shrinking, but box 3 remains the same. All right, so box 1, as you can see, box 1 is shrinking, box 2 is shrinking as well, but box 3 is maintaining its width, which is the I think it's 250 or 200 pixels that we set on it. And the reason why the element is not shrinking is because we have set flex shrink to 0. So which means every other element, box 1 and box 2 can shrink, but box 3 should maintain its width and should not shrink. And as well, it can actually grow as well, because we have already set this flex basis on the elements. But box 1 and box 2, they can actually grow. So if I take it back and then increase my browser's width, look at box 1 and box 2, they will actually grow and adjust accordingly based on the width of the device. All right, so that's that for the flex shorthand property. That's flex grow, flex basis, and the flex shrink. I think we have 2 more, I guess. Okay, 1 actually. Now we have this order. Okay, great. So this flex here is a shorthand for flex grow, flex shrink, and then flex basis. All right, so 0 here means that grow. This area is the flex grow, and then shrink is 1, and then basis is auto. All right, so recommended shorthand for flex grow, flex shrink, and then flex basis. Then finally, let's look at order. So order controls order of items. -1 makes item 1, and then 1 makes it last. Okay, great. I think we can use the same document right here. Now back to the browser. We have box 1, box 2, box 3. Now, for instance, if I actually want box 1 to become the first item here, there is a way we can do that using the order property. I will take you back to the code. So basically, all I need to do is to set the order property here and say if I want box 2 to become the first item, right? I can set this to 1, and then if I want box 1 to become the last item, I will give this order 3, and then box 3 to become the third, to make the third, the second rather. So great. So which means box 2 is going to be the first item, followed by box 3 and then box 1. So box 2, box 3, box 1 should be the order right now. So you see box 2, box 3, box 1. So this is how you can actually change the order of elements using the order property in Flexbox. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the properties that we have in Flexbox.